I'm going to use a little prairie lane green, which I call my country western green. Because, as I've mentioned before, with a name like prairie lane, I think it should be a dress with 1,000 petticoats and clogger shoes on. So, okay, I'm going to go in here now and I'm going to take that prairie lane green and I'm going to take put a little water or yellow over here, some of this Windsor yellow that I have, but any light yellow. And I'll get a little of that, mix it in with it. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go around and I'm going to kind of paint the general area of the tree. And I'll come down in here and we'll come out. And I'm not too worried about where some of these, I'm just kind of following the general shape that's on there. And then when we get into the center, it gets darker or filled in more. Let's go over here and get a little of this, a little of that. But one of the things on trees, when you're painting trees and you get out near the end, they always start to curl up because the end of the tree branch is trying to get to the sun, and it always goes up and it points up. So we get that part. So now I've got that layer of green on there, and I'll dry that. Now, I'm going to put a little bit more of the masking fluid on there. We've preserved sky color in here. Now I'm going to preserve just a few of those droplets. Just by doing it like that, I get rid of the really big droplets. So now I'll come in here, and what this will do, this will give us a few dots of some of that green coming through. And then I'll dry that. On yours, what you did, you had a lot of little just kind of dots, like you go along with the brush and done it that way to get there. And this way you kind of block in the color. You leave yourself a few holes this way, but it's still, it's going to work okay. Now what do I do with my dagger brush?
What are you looking for?
Oh, this one here, right here. Okay. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start putting in some of the dark colors. So I'm going to take some of this prairie lane green and some of the burnt umber, and that'll give me a really dark green. And I'm just gonna start. But where I like this one is when I start getting out in here. There's some of these little things like this points out in here.
What size brush is that?
It says it's a 1/4 dagger. I wouldn't rush out and buy one. I just thought I'd show you this. I'll come in and I'll paint some of it with another brush that we usually use. But anyway, I found that I can get some good little spots and points out in there for something like that.
Could you do the same thing with a rigger?
You might be able to. I don't know. I mean, if you got one like
One of the long riggers,
Yeah.
you know?
and a little bit wider, like maybe a number 2 or something.
yeah.
You probably could.
Okay.
But now what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll bring a little blue, some of that ultra into this. and we'll come in here and I'll just. And I found sometimes if I use almost a dry brushing technique, yeah, I'll put it here. Some of this will start when we do dry later. Now, on the painting that I had in here last week, I didn't know what was going on back in here. And I had some of these holes, sky holes as I call them, a little bit larger. So I went back and took some pictures and saw what the buildings look like. And then I actually painted those buildings back in here fairly loosely, so that if the building, little corners in here, some of the windows and stuff, they would show through as part of it. And that's just because, that's my style. That's what I like. I get lost in that, and I get the feeling just all out and running, and I get a good photorealistic painting, so that's my bag. But now we'll put it in here and some. But what we're getting is that we're getting and I'm just kind of touching and dabbing out of here. But I am picking up a little bit of green in here that's coming through in some of these spots. It depends on how much mix I get. I'm getting a little too much water on the brush now, I think. Because it's getting more green. Let's just go with the blue and the burnt umber. Yeah. And then when I get down on this side, I'm going to start getting into a little dry brush. I'll come in here. Just to kind of see how it looks. Let's see how that dries.